Which is, how can digital marketing help improve product outcomes? How can it decrease adverse events, such as surgical complications? And how can it increase patient outcomes? And I'd like to start with Jitesh.
So I have two thoughts around that. We're talking about, again, technology being an enabler. So obviously we've always had things like surgical techniques. We've always had the ability for doctors to figure out what they need to do. But as far as patients go, some of that information has not been transferred to the patient. And I was actually doing some research, and I found out that a lot of companies have found out that the patients are in that passive state we discussed this morning because they're afraid of that what their quality of life would be if they actually went through something. And I think the digital devices and material can actually help patients navigate that. So if you can enable your doctors with some sort of a digital aid so that they can show them what their potential patient outcomes would be when they're having the interaction with patients, some sort of a material like that, I think that would help. The other thing is, obviously, I talk about surgical techniques. So one is the patient side, so the consumer side, and the other one is actually the physician side themselves. So it's so much easier for a physician, in my opinion, to be able to look at a digital aid, which is the same thing. I mean, we used to have printed materials, but now you're trying to do this digitally, and quickly look at how an incision needs to be made, or how a particular screw can be tightened or loosened with which particular gauge of screw. So I think it just makes it more interactive, makes it a little bit more fun and interesting for them to be able to learn that rather than going that same thing through a flip book, right? So I think that's just my 2 cents on how I think we can look at both sides, both from the patient side as well as the doctor side, and kind of bring them together towards a common goal. Please.
So I think when you look at what we do in 3 steps, it's identifying the right patients for the right therapy, it's getting them onboarded, and it's keeping them supported. I think the best way to improve the outcomes over here and lower the adverse effect is in the front end, making sure that the selection piece is ideal. And there's, as Chris was talking in the last conversation, there's more data than ever before about patients, whether it be their medical data from a claims perspective, EMR data, consumer demographic data. All of those things are available in at least a patient de-identified way that you can link it back to the physician to kind of identify that ideal patient, if you will. And by identifying that ideal patient, you're going to get your market, but you're also going to maximize the opportunity for the best possible outcomes with the least side effects.
How many of you were at Nathan's workshop yesterday, Mobile Labs? Okay, yeah, I mean, I thought that the app that he showed, the larynx, and how patients can be right there, the doctor can be right there bedside and show them a video or show them something about what we're doing today and the care, that is extremely meaningful. So if there's nothing to add, I'll go on to our next question. Please.
I was just sitting thinking it was really interesting. We had at Cook, we had a really interesting marketing issue that we needed to solve. I don't know if any of you are familiar, but we have a very extensive line of IVF products, in vitro fertilization, and it's actually in some parts of this world we're known more for IVF than we are for any of our other devices. But we were running into the issues of the fact that they were growing, that the use of our products was growing dramatically, especially in third world countries. And how do we get our reps there to train people on a very simple process? It's not a simple process, it's called ICSI, where one sperm cell is used to fertilize one single egg. And so we actually used the web and created a whole video day by day that took the viewer through step 1 from actually negative day one from collecting the eggs, and took them all the way through the process, day by day, by process, so that we had this available to doctors and any kind of technician that was using IVF anywhere in the world, because it was available to them 24/7. You have a rep, you deal with your reps, you know, they have vacation schedules, they have times that they're not available, and you're not available in 24 times, you know, in all the time zones. And so we were able to take that video and put it on the web and make that available to them in any situation. The interesting side effect of that was that many patients who had gone through in vitro fertilization had never seen the process. They had no clue what the doctors did to them, what they went through from the time that they collected the eggs to the times they were reimplanted back into the mother. And just the comments that Cook got back from that from patients, which were totally a secondary audience, was amazing. It is incredible. So if you ever want to look at it, the website is cookartlab.com, and the video's there. And actually, if you've been through the process and don't know how it works, help yourself.
For sharing that.
Joe, I'd add one. I think that patient compliance, when that's part of the therapy, could be an area where there's real opportunity. Like, for example, at coronary drug-eluting stents, one of our challenges was that about a third of patients never get their initial dose of clopidogrel, let alone the enduring therapy they need. And that's a critical component in ensuring you get good outcomes. And that was definitely a barrier when concerns started to arise around stent thrombosis to continuing to use drug-coated stents versus bare metal stents. And so an app that would help change that, end patient behavior, to help them understand the benefit of complying with the medical therapy and help them actually, stay compliant, would certainly have a huge impact on outcomes.
I like the idea of showing them a video of what happens when you stop taking your medication at 30, 60, 90.
And that's why, when I said in the beginning that we need to look at, both sides of what we can actually show the patients. If we can enable the practitioners to be able to show the patients that what's the benefit in real life video, for example, of how your quality of life could improve, rather than just theoretical. I think that makes a huge impact on what the patients can then do with that information.
I love that. Is that an incremental idea for anyone in terms of patient follow-through, maybe showing videos bedside? So if you end up doing that, would you let me know? I think that'd be cool, and I'd love to feature it in my group, because I think that's exactly the kind of idea and technology that something like the Medical Devices Group can broadcast and really benefit the entire community. Is there a question back there?
More of a comment. Anthony Potter from Hanger Clinic. I think one of the things that's well proven for years and years now is that pre-operative education and information improves post-operative outcomes. And digital marketing is one of those tools that you can start to use pre-operatively to improve those outcomes post-operatively. That's one thing. And just want to comment on your last comment. We at Hanger Clinic, one of the things we focus on is providing information to patients. We deal with prosthetics and orthotics, so it's really post-amputation patients in particular, of providing as much information, often after, because we can't do it before, but it's delivered through a peer-to-peer relationship where people who've had amputations go in and talk to those patients. So what we set up is that initiation of the relationship through a peer-to-peer relationship, and digital tools are really useful in that space as well.
I could very much see testimonials of patients and what it was like and what they went through to be extremely meaningful, especially for someone who's scared about the operation ahead. Thank you for adding that.